So I was in South Carolina for a metal detecting event, and I was about 40 miles from the cemetery where my great-great-grandfather and grandmother were buried. I've known this since I was a little kid. I've got my great-great-grandfather's obituary, an article that was written in the paper after he passed. He was a soldier in the Civil War for the South Carolina Volunteers, 5th South Carolina Volunteers, Company E. So I had researched him, kind of doing my family's genealogy through the years, and I was able to find a lot about him. So this was my opportunity to go to the cemetery that I had seen in pictures growing up. And it was just kind of a moving event for me to actually go there, see this in person, see my other relatives that were buried there. But as I talk about in this video, just with metal detecting and hunting a lot of Civil War areas, just kind of means a little bit something different for me, because there is a personal connection when I'm digging relics and knowing that my great-great-grandfather was part of this as a young guy, and how close it was that I wouldn't have been here, my family wouldn't have been here if things had gone different for him. So here is the footage of the cemetery. It was out there all by itself, fields all around. The cemetery has been there since 1851. It's connected to a church just a mile up the road, but check it out.
So I'm in Lowery, South Carolina, at the Zion Presbyterian Church Cemetery. This was the original site of this church. This cemetery land was donated by the church in 1851. This is a site of the original church, which is now located about a mile up the road. And this is the first time I've been here, and we'll come on through the gate. I've read about this, read obituaries, read family papers and letters, but I've never actually been here. This right here, McCants. This right here is my great-great-grandfather, Robert McCants, and his wife, Nancy DeVinny. So this is, from what I can gather, I know Robert was in the Civil War, fought for the South Carolina Volunteers, 5th Company E, and he had a friend who was killed in battle during the war. After the war ended, he married his friend's young sister, Nancy, and they had several kids, obviously one being my great-great-grandmother, Lula Mae, and some of their kids are buried here. So I was able to piece together, add some photos, add some information onto Ancestry based on the headstones that I've seen here. He has got a brother, Duffy, who was killed in the Civil War, and family documents say that his body was returned to the family after the war and was supposed to have been buried here, although I can't find it. He's got another brother who was killed whose body was not returned, but letters say that he visited throughout his life the site or the burial location of his brother somewhere in Virginia, and it may be around Petersburg. So I still want to research that. I've never been able to find any specifics on that. So Robert McCants was a private all throughout the Civil War. he fought in all the major battles besides Gettysburg. He was in Manassas, 2nd Manassas. He was in Chickamauga, Battle of the Wilderness in Spotsylvania. He was wounded 3 times, got one of his fingers shot off, shot in the leg. But luckily he survived, obviously. But in metal detecting, when I'm researching and detecting these old Civil War sites and recovering Civil War relics, he's who I think about. I think about him fighting as a young boy in the Civil War, not getting to choose why our country was at war, but just doing his duty, and along with all of the other young kids his age. But I think about it when I'm recovering old Civil War bullets. I think about the fact that one bullet, an inch left or right, and I wouldn't be here, and my family wouldn't be here. So I have a lot of respect and reverence when I'm detecting Civil War locations, because they're not just relics. These were actually young kids that died and were wounded. And like I said, they didn't get to decide why they were doing what they were doing. But it's just kind of neat that I'm able to come here and finally see his gravesite. I have an obituary of his and an article that was written in a local paper at the time of his death in 1909 that talked about his Civil War service and all of his different accomplishments and where he fought and so forth. And I remember bringing that in to show and tell when I was in 3rd grade. So I happened to be down here this weekend for a hunt, a metal detecting hunt down here in South Carolina, and it was about 40 miles from this cemetery. So it was the perfect opportunity to come down here and actually lay eyes on his resting place along with the other family members, and was also able to update some stuff, as I said, in Ancestry. So very cool experience for me, and I'll leave it at that.